So we have the griddle unboxed. Everything's laid out. There's the main unit itself. Cast iron griddle, casters, bracketry, side panels. And I'm not really sure what that is yet. There's the drip pan. Pretty much all of the hardware, pretty straightforward, and the instructions. And then we have the lid to the device right here. So I think what I want to do first is obviously read the manual, but I think I'm going to put the sides and the feet on and then get it here so I can work on it on the ground. Let's get started. So the instructions say that is all I need to assemble this unit is a Phillips screwdriver, an adjustable wrench, and then of course don't forget your single AA battery. This is for the igniter. What do you say? Should we put this sucker together? Okay, so the legs are hinged out like this. So we're just gonna fold those out. The solid or non-rotating casters go on the right-hand side of the unit, and they just slide in, and you tighten that down with a thumb screw. Pretty easy. You just rotate those in there like that. So we'll do that. Rotating caster here and a fixed caster here. Then we'll get her down on the ground and start working on it. Okay, so remember these pivot out, so they kind of fold up. So what holds them from collapsing is the bottom shelf. So on the bottom shelf, we're going to use the large thumb screw on this side because it has this bigger piece of metal here. Going to use the medium thumb screw over here. It's also going to attach the propane bottle bracket, and those came from this location right here. So the next thing they want us to do is install the propane hanger, and that is this piece right here. For hardware, we're going to use M6, which is a long stud, and a 10mm nut. So we're gonna just slip that over there, and come on, get her in there. There we go. Okay, we're through on the other side now. So I'm gonna hold this with my knuckle real quick and just hand tighten it. Okay, so that's installed. So what I'll do is I'll just cinch that up with a Phillips screwdriver, and I use a nut driver. I'm not really a fan of crescent wrenches, so I'll use a socket rather, and back that up. So we'll get that tightened up and move on to the next part. Okay, so the next step was to install the paper towel holder. I have not found that. Not really sure what's going on with that, but it's not really a big deal to me at the moment, so we're just going to continue on. What they want us to do now is put the control knobs on and install the battery for the igniter. So this is going to be pretty basic. They want you to install it positive side facing towards the knob. We're just going to turn that like that, and that is installed, and we'll see if it works. Listen. See that? So we got great spark. Okay, now these are keyed. So we have the flat top up here. We're going to install the flat section here. It's going to go like this, and we are good to go. And we just push this in. This is a typical safety type valve, so we need to push it in and then turn it left to operate it. Push it in to turn it off. We'll do the other three. And the next step, we're going to install the side handle. The side handle goes on the propane tank side, just like so. These are already nutted up. The nuts are welded back onto the rear, so we're just going to need 4 screws. We're going to use 4 of the M6 screws up here in the top, and then we'll get the screwdriver out. And we'll see if I can do this one-handed. We'll see. I'm gonna install that. Little installer technique there. There we go. Took a second to get it started, but we got it. Okay, so I never cinch those down. I never cinch anything down like that until we get the last one on there. Let's see if we can get a bird's eye view here. Come on. Yeah, they can be a little squirrely to start. I think it's because of the powder coating process. And we'll just get the other ones done here. Okay, now they're all 4 installed, so now I'll just go back and give it a quick cinch. Now this is a pretty neat grill overall, griddle, I guess they call it overall, but not too impressed with the hardware they're using. It's pretty soft Chinese metal here. All right, we'll go to the next step. On the next step, we're going to attach the shelf brackets. We can see this is the right side of the grill, but they want us to put the L on for here. So we've got L, and we're just gonna basically, oops, go over here to this side. We're gonna attach those like so with some of those M6 screws. So we'll get on that. Okay, earlier I said I don't understand why there's an L for left on the right side of the griddle. I believe that's when you're looking at the end. This is the left. This is supposed to be stamped with an R. I did not see an R or an L on either of these, but it's not hard to figure out. You want the rear supports here, right? The cutouts for these screws, all that lines up. So we're just gonna tighten these down now. We're just gonna cinch them down. Don't get too crazy with it. It's actually such a soft metal. You don't want to bugger those up much. I'm using a pretty new Craftsman screwdriver that's not rounded on the tip, but yeah. All right, well, let's go do the other one. So now we're going to put the R on there and the big bracket on there, utilizing a couple more of those. Okay, so now we get to do the side shelves on the left side. This one here. We need to install the shelf hooks. So we have 3 of those. They say use M6x8. They're not in this pack. They're actually already on the hooks. So we'll flip this over, get this installed. One thing on the hooks, you cannot install them upside down or incorrectly, as if they have a little key, little nubby right there for a key. So you just take that, line it up in there, and then there's the hole for the screw. Just install your screw and you're good to go. So for that right side shelf, we're just gonna take 2 of these pieces out, the M8 19s. One of them goes down in there, and the other one goes down here. Tighten that up, and that area is completed. Okay, apparently I read the instructions improperly. The 2 pieces here, the M8 19s, are for the lid. We're gonna grab these right here. These are these little step bolts. That makes sense. So what we do is we put a step bolt in here and here. So I'll just take these screws out. I should be calling them screws, but they're step screw. And we'll get those in there. I thought something wasn't quite right. All right. Well, there you go. At least I caught it now. Okay, so I put the improper screws in here. They were basically the wrong ones. I was supposed to put these step screws in, correct? Well, that handle was in the way, and the handle was in the way when I was putting these screws in the first place. So what I opted to do was take the handle out, because when you fold this down, you have perfect access to those screws. So we're going to take that handle out and then install these step screws. So maybe with Blackstone, if you're watching, maybe don't put the side handle on yet. Maybe get this out of the way first. This. Pull that back and see what happens. There we go. Look at that, looking good. Okay, now I'm gonna fold this down just to make it easier for me. That's how that goes. Very good, I like that. That's pretty cool. All right, now I'll do this side the correct way. I think we're getting down to the end here. All right, what do you say, Luce? We getting done? She's hungry. She's like, Grandpa, get me some vittles going right now. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is install the hood. And I got there's 4 washers, a couple lock nuts, and then of course these screws that we had. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the hood on and line it up. Okay, you wanna get her done. Okay, now we'll go into here, right here, and we'll do the other washer. And lock nut. Okay, we'll get this down. I'll cinch it almost all the way down to that washer, but I want a little bit of leeway, so we'll do that one and that one down there. Okay, so little tech tip here. This is a 13 millimeter nut. I prefer using sockets, open ends, whatever, versus adjustables. I'm just not really a fan of that. Another thing too, these screws are kind of a soft material, and so what I like to do on something like that, instead of using the screwdriver to turn the screw to give force, right? What I do is I hold it steady with the screwdriver, and then I use the ratchet action itself. It works a lot better. Okay, now I can feel this crimp in this lock nut starting to kick in. So I'm gonna go just a little bit further. And I don't want to really get it too tight. I don't mind it turning like this. This is fine, because this will not, because this is a lock nut, this will not back out. All right, and I'll show you what that looks like from this other side when I'm doing that. See, like I say, I'm just using the screwdriver, and I'm just basically holding this for support. I'm applying the torque on the nut side itself. Otherwise, if I just held the nut and gave the torque with this screwdriver, I'd have a lot of a chance of, or a huge chance of galling those out. And I don't want to waller out that Phillips head. So we'll go ahead and do the other side. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the handle on. And we have the 2 holes right here to do that. Screws are already mounted on the back, so we're just going to back those out and install that handle. They want dinner, they want it now. All right, so truth be told, I am not the best person to follow directions. I kind of got ahead of myself. I should have put the handle on before I mounted the hood, but it's pretty easy to do. I just had to fiddle with the screws for a second. Got the top on. Now they say to have another person help. I guess it's because of the weight, because overall this is a heavy unit, but as you're putting it together, really the heaviest thing is the griddle itself. It was not awkward, it was not hard for me to put together on my own. I'm extremely excited to start breaking this in. Oops. There we go. Looking good. Goldie approved. You good with this, Lacey? Yeah? Yeah, these guys are hungry. Honeydew, you hungry? She's like, yeah, it's hot out here. But yeah, that's it. Pretty cool. So I'm just gonna go grab a propane bottle and clean up my mess and start seasoning this so I can cook on it. Stay tuned for that video coming up. Thanks for watching. Okay, one last thing. I found the paper towel rack. It was in with, I believe, the handle. So yeah, I found that when I was cleaning everything up. So good deal. Nice. Let's get cooking.